Number 1, the main plug for the boat. Number 2, the oil dipstick. It should be close to the top. Number 3, that's the oil filter. Make sure it's snug and not leaking. And finally, check the oil reservoir. Make sure it's at the correct level. Number 5, the fuel filter. Just make sure it's clean. Number 6, check the pressure in the gas tank. So I'm going to give you a quick tip to flush out the Mercury Pro XS, and they've come up with this right here, which is basically a flush and fill port, and I've got it in the open position right now. You just pull this out and then unscrew this cap, and then we're going to go ahead and flush out the cooling system for this motor, which is impeller and everything. That the mud that I was in the other day probably got into those components, keeping it running cool. If your impeller gets jammed up from mud or debris or any of the ports, if this thing overheats, it's going to cost you more than your education. I'm going to put this cover back on to protect the electronics inside the motor. Act like you're taking it off. As soon as you hear that click right there, then the threads are lined up and you can go forward. And basically it's flushing all the dirt and debris out of that motor. Run this for about 15 minutes. So if that's what the manual says, that's what I'm going to do. Just do not let it go on the side. Tighten that up snug. And then push this back in. Kind of get it flush. So back in the old days, there was 2 plugs, the top plug and the underneath plug, and you just undo both of them and drain all the lower unit oil out. Now on this new motor, it's a little different. You undo the top plug and take off the prop with all the seals and the keepers, and then torque it back on. It doesn't seem as simple to me. Like your spurs, Johnny. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave. I'll be your huckleberry. I think I scared the little fella.